Claire and I'm here to help you get better at ballet. And today I thought I would work on your vocabulary for your intermediate foundation work. So this is going out to any dancers who are just getting started in their point work, so they're taking things a little bit more seriously. And as part of that, you're kind of expected to do quite a bit of home practice. And one of the things that I find really tricky, or that dancers find really tricky, is actually remembering the vocabulary, because you do have a free enchainement that happens within the allegro sequence. The examiner will set an exercise that is totally unprepared previously, and you will have to understand what they're saying and obviously understand the musicality of it, the alignment of it, and things like that. So I thought it would be quite a good idea to give you some tips. It's a good resource for my students who, if they get a moment where they think, oh my gosh, what is a glissade derriere, they can come on here and have a little look and go, oh, that's what it is. Okay, so I am going to start with glissades, and I'll do a series of videos with a different step in each one, rather than trying to do the whole lot in one go, which can be really quite overwhelming. And then you have a resource, and you can click on the one that you're confused about as and when you need to research it. Fingers crossed it will help you. So glissade refers to sliding in French, okay? Glisser actually means slid. So a glissade is referring to a sliding step. And that's the feeling you need to have. A sliding, not a jumping step, but at the same time, it does have a sense of rise and fall. So like you're going over a little hill, because you are going from a plie with bent legs through stretched legs back to another plie with bent legs. And your toes are not meant to leave the floor at all, which is what makes it really quite tricky, because you end up either going really straight with no light sense of lift, or you end up doing a jump, which is not correct in the RAD syllabus. Okay, so just to clarify, I'm doing the Royal Academy of Dance RAD Intermediate Foundation Vocabulary. This is also relevant for your intermediate as well. So if you're jumping straight in at intermediate, you will need to know these steps as well. If you've already done intermediate foundation, hopefully you'll still remember them from your intermediate foundation, so it won't be too big a deal when you get to intermediate. And I suggest anyone who's sort of grade 4 and above starts really listening to the steps that your teacher is talking about, and then you'll start putting the movement to the step. So when they start saying, right, I need you to know what a glissade is, you'll think, I know what that is. I remember my glissades exercise from grade 3. Okay, so that's where it's all come from stuff that you've learned in previous grades, but obviously at the end of the day, it's quite hard to remember everything. And often we, as dancers, we're often very visual learners. We tend to go by what we see and what we do, as opposed to listening to what's being said at the same time. Not everyone, but a lot of us. Anyway, I digress. So a glissade is a sliding step. So just to demonstrate, you'll start, there's not a lot of width here, so I'll start here, and you'll start from 5th position with a plie. You go from a plie, you stretch that leg, and then you land in a plie. Okay. Now, to help you with the quality of your glissade, always push into the trailing leg. Okay, so think you're pushing into your right leg if you're traveling to the left. Okay, so that gives you that lovely squeeze and stretch. So you go from a plie, stretch both legs, and then go back to a plie. That's the glissade. Okay, and you can do it anyway. You can do it on a devant as well, but that's not in this grade. The tricky bit is where we get to the under, the over, the devant, the derriere. Okay, so just to let you know the vocabulary or the terminology, devant is spelled D-E-V-A-N-T, and I think devant, front. Okay, so that refers to your front. Okay, so it could be that if it's devant, you'd start with the front leg, and that front leg stays at the front. So the way I would write it down would be front to front. The leg that does the first swish is the leg that the RAD take to determine which one it is, which version of a glissade it is. You will find if you do different systems like ISTD or Cecchetti or Vaganova or of the many different versions. You might find some of the terminology different. You might find that they use some systems use the closing leg as the determinator for which one it is. So please don't freak out when you see this if you're doing a different system. This is really just for RAD. And you might find different systems do the glissade as more of a jump. That's absolutely fine. It's a different style, okay? So devant is front. So that's the front leg leads. That's the leg that leads out and then closes in front to front. So on that same format, derriere. Now I remember derriere as being your derriere. Derriere means back. So I would start with my back leg, plie, back, and that stays at the back. Yes. So back to back is derriere. So those two are quite straightforward. The under and over, the difficulty with that is also the fact that the French word for under and over are very similar. So you've got dessus, which is over, and that's spelt S-U-S at the end. So I think of up and over. And dessous is S-O-U-S, which means under, okay? And it's really hard to tell the difference sometimes. And most examiners, in fact, I don't think there's an examiner that wouldn't clarify if you actually couldn't hear what they'd said properly and you wanted to say, is that over or under? Okay. They tend to put a bit of a on the dessous, and they might be really kind and go dessous with a little bit of up in their tone, but again, they might not. So that's something to bear in mind. I know that's really tricky, but you can always clarify. And often examiners will clarify. They'll say dessous over or dessous under. Yeah, so they will make it nice and clear for you. If you really don't understand, you can then ask them and say, was that over or under? And I tend to say, imagine you're lying down on the floor. And again, it's that leading leg, the leg that does the swish out, that tells us that it's going to be dessous or dessous. And if it goes from the front to the back, if I'm lying on the floor, my leg goes from the front to the back, it's going under, isn't it? It's moving underneath the other leg. So that's how I imagine it when I'm doing my glissade. I'm thinking front to back is under. So a glissade dessous, under, goes here, plie, and there, and it changes legs. And over, I'm going to do the other leg, goes from the back, and it comes to the front, dessous. Okay, so we have now learnt the glissade. We've learnt the glissade devant, front to front, glissade derriere, back to back, glissade dessous, over, which is from the back to the front, and glissade dessous, under, which is from the front to the back. I hope that helps. Here you go. If you like this video, share it with your fellow students. Help them to help themselves as well. Do like the video. Do follow us and do comment below. Let me know how you're getting on. And if you are taking the exam, I wish you the very, very best of luck. Remember, the more you enjoy your exam, the more the examiner will enjoy watching you, and that is all part of the performance. See you later. Bye-bye.